Hello and welcome to our March 2025 market update for San Luis Obispo County. We're very happy to be able to present this information to you, and we obviously thank all the good feedback we get. So got a lot to talk about today, so why don't we jump into it. So first, we're going to do the usual talk about the market statistics, what it means for our buyers and sellers and people in the community. Secondly, I want to discuss a word we call compromise, so it'll be important. And then lastly, we're going to talk a little bit about this affordability. We've been running into this affordability question. So market stats, the number of homes for sale is up about a third over a year ago, so that trend is continuing, and it's a healthy one. Pendings year over year this month up about 12%, great news. Closed sales down a couple of percent, so just a little bit from last year. New listings up about 61%. So we're seeing more inventory on the market, and overall this last quarter we had a reduction in the number of closed sales than we had a year ago. So if we put together more homes for sale, steady basically number of buyers, what that's going to mean is the market's not going to be moving as quickly. So I'm getting people that have concerns, and you get your information everywhere. Is the sky falling? No. What we are noticing and what's really become important is for a homeowner that's going to sell, the price of your home and your condition are critically important. All right. So a well-priced home will still get multiple offers and go above the asking price. This past week, we had a $1.5 million property that went up $200,000. Our buyers and escrow on that one. High demand property, checked a lot of boxes. So that happens. So Christina in my office just made a great point. I said, what should we tell our public? She goes, price is more important than ever, quite honestly. And if you err on the high side, you're probably going to end up spending a lot more time and maybe not getting as much money. And if you price on the lower side and it's worth more, the market will price correct and go up, like that last example, and you'll probably be better off. So price and condition, critically important. All right, so that's our market and what it is. So again, reminder, this is all just trending towards we consider a normal market. Okay, what we had the last few years was not a normal market. It was a very, very strong seller's market. So we're coming to balance. Great. Number two, let's talk about compromise. Okay, I was talking to one of the people at the escrow company. What percentage of the escrows you guys open closed? She said 60%. Okay, great. So what does that mean? 40% are not closing. So when we talk about getting your home escrow and keeping it escrow, the word compromise is critically important. All right. A win-win is always great. We all love that. But somebody quoted recently saying a great real estate deal is when both sides aren't 100% happy because they had to give to get. Well, guess what? Giving is part of the process. So if you're entering in a real estate transaction, our job is to coach and counsel you on what's happening and help you make good decisions. And sometimes there's compromise involved. A little bit of compromise or, just giving up a little bit can have a much better long-term effect for you. Okay, lastly, let's talk about affordability. All right, so real estate prices have gone up. Great for property owners. The price of borrowing money, mortgages, is higher than we've seen it recently, but about par of what we're used to historically. So if we're in the high sixes, it'd be nicer if we were at 5 or 4 or even the low sixes. So that affects affordability. Insuring a home, the cost is higher, even though the value in California of what you get is cheaper than many states, believe it or not, in the country. So we're not like the highest priced state. Cost of construction, fixing things, everything has gone up. So it creates an affordability challenge. So as a first-time buyer, it's easy to be concerned. Things look expensive. You look back and go, wow, it costs a lot. But for those of you who have bought a home and own a home, if you think about that first mortgage you took out, that commitment to borrow that money, you probably weren't excited. In fact, I'll speak for myself and most people I know, it's a little bit scary. But you take the step, and then a year, 2 years, 3 years, over time, you look back and go, wow, probably the best decision I made. If you're thinking about buying, it's important to consider this. So the reason I bring this up too in terms of affordability is, well, Hal, you're just trying to sell houses or, you're just trying to make a positive spin. Well, let me share this with you if you're a homeowner or considering be one. We're going to post something here is the price per square foot of a home in San Luis Obispo. And you're going to see the trajectory virtually just go steadily up since about 2010 or 11 till 2025. As you look at that graph, when I first saw that, the owner of the company showed it to us, I looked at that and said, oh my gosh, imagine that was a stock price in a company. And it went up that steadily, that consistently over that long a period of time. I would put money in that stock. That's our local real estate economy. So the lesson for our property sellers, you got to be more conscious of how you price your property. And the last example I got to add is there's a large national home builder. Their cost of sales was about 2%. That's what it cost them to sell the house, not the build, just to market and sell. Now it's 13% several months later. So a big change. Average price in America is about $400,000, 13% of that. That's a lot of money, okay? Why did they do it? Well, if they aren't getting people to buy the properties, they can either lower the price or add more features and benefits. So what are those costs? Well, they might help a buyer by paying down their points. That costs money, getting them a lower rate. They might help them by prepaying some insurance or some taxes or adding additional upgrades. So what can we learn from the second largest home builder in America? As a property owner, sometimes you may have to fix the roof. You might have to upgrade the plumbing. You might have to help the buyer with some of their loan costs because you have all the equity so they can afford to buy your house. That's for sellers. For buyers, look at the graph and realize my job is not to tell you what to do, buy, sell, whatever it is. Our job is to counsel you and give you the best advice when it comes to real estate, buying, selling, holding, whatever it is. So thank you for the opportunity. We take it very seriously, and we'll talk to you next month.